Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, Madam Vice Chair, and colleagues. Here to ask you to consider a House Bill 974, which is Statute of Limitations bill. It's a little uncomfortable sometimes for me, especially coming in front of this committee. My reputation here isn't always the best. I know some folks find me a little bit combative, angry, and personal. I do have that scorched earth style of politics. Sometimes moody, frustrated, and distant, or unpredictable. So I have to accept all that. In fact, I own it. I've testified about my childhood about 6 years, and so I'm always kind of shocked when people are disappointed or surprised that that's the kind of person that I am. That's my persona, because my mindset since I was a little boy has always been the same, and college degrees and elected office hasn't changed that. I ain't never been shit, ain't gonna be shit. I wake up every morning that same way. Of course I'm distrustful. You know, instead of being selected as to be part of a family, I was chosen as Tom Wilson's little sexual play toy. And I'm volatile because I was forced to perform oral sex on a grown man as punishment for my misdeeds. Yeah, I'm cynical because the one man who said he loved me, the one that I had to call father, was the same man who sodomized me for years. And so I'm full of self-loathing and anger because in my heart I should have fought harder. I didn't try hard enough to stop it, even though I was a tiny boy. And most of all, I feel the guilt because I didn't report it sooner. I had no idea how many other people he may have hurt. He was a kindergarten teacher, he was a Sunday school teacher, and he was a Cub Scout leader. But very much, most of all, I have to live in fear that one day I'm going to wake up just like him and have some weird, undescribed appetite for little boys. Because they tell me it's cyclical. See, I know no matter how hard I try, I'm not going to be normal. I'm sick as all my secrets, and that's why it hurts. Always. Then I'm not going to be okay. So no matter when you see how I walk around and jovial like me, I'm not okay. I'm not like you. So I couldn't imagine how much more damaged or broken I'd be if I found out that Tom had other victims beforehand and that these other children complained about him and social services didn't do anything about it. That they could have protected me from him and they chose not to. And that's why I'm here. I'm not here to regale you with the horrors that I've survived or remind you of how messed up I am. Most of you have dealt with me enough to know that. I'm here because there are many institutions that could have protected our countless child victims from sex abuse, and they chose not to, and they still choose not to. Because many of those victims are now time barred from bringing up these actions. The criminal evidence is stale, and as such, these predators are still out there. They're not exposed. And I know you might ask, why do I even keep telling you my personal story? Because you guys passed it out, 17-4 last year. And I have trust issues, number one. So, and I'll honestly, I never take anything for granted. But I testify because I've got to give courage to the people and the survivors who get ready to speak when I'm done. And also give voice for those who can't find their voice yet. So thank you for indulging me. This bill basically eliminates the statute of limitations. 10 other states have done so. 6 other states are considering doing so. Maryland will be far from unique. And it provides, most importantly, a 2-year look-back window or revival to expose these hidden predators, as in California did in 2003. And because of that, 300 additional predators that were not discovered through the criminal process were found. Minnesota did in 2013. 125 additional predators that we did not know exist were found. And lastly, to get rid of that deception that was placed in the 2017 piece of legislation called a statute of repose, that nobody that was in the committee then even knew about. It was uncodified language. There was never an intent by this body to vest constitutionally protected rights for predators, perpetrators, and their organizations. Some of you may ask why it's not enough just with the criminal charges. Now, and I've been through this before, obviously criminal discovery is very limited. Civil discovery is very expansive. That's how we found about the Boy Scout perversion files, the PA grand jury report, the Bishop's secret archives. And prosecution focuses on an individual, not an institution. These cases are special because there is a compelling state interest to expose these predators that were not discovered. In addition, there are special exceptions because this is a unique culture of silence, secrecy, and shame that surround these crimes. And the reporting age is an average of 52 years old before people start talking about it. You may hear about unfair litigation because now it's unbalanced, but there have been no reports of false claims in other 16 states that have done this. Plaintiff still has a burden, so eroding evidence actually penalizes the plaintiff. Cases are still decided on their merits. You're not going to hear these institutions say that children were not sexually abused. They'll come to your office. They might speak up today, but they will not deny that these children were sexually abused or that these institutions did not know about it. They won't deny that they hid them, moved them, or protected these predators. They'll just tell you it's not a good bill. You know, I never wanted this to be my legacy. My kids know about this now because of these efforts. It's super embarrassing. But I've accepted that God brought me here for that reason, to protect these child sex abuse victims and expose these predators. So I want somebody to ask the church, why did God bring them here? Thank you.
Thank you very much. The remaining witnesses will have 2 minutes to speak, and at the discretion of the chair, we'll extend that if necessary. Whoever would like to go next.
Sure. Chairman and members, thank you for allowing me to speak here. I'm going to go in reverse of my testimony, given the time. My name is Catherine Robb. I'm the Executive Director of Child U.S. Advocacy. I am also a survivor of child sexual abuse from age 9 to 14, so a lot of what the delegate says resonates with me. Last year, in 2019, 41 states introduced statute of limitation reform. We track this all over the country. I was just in Kansas last week testifying there. Of those 41 states, 23 states passed SOL reform for child sexual abuse. 9 of those states passed either window legislation or revival legislation. This year alone, and let me remind you, it's only February, 27 states, have introduced SOL reform for child sexual abuse, and 14 of those states, including this one, have either window or revival legislation. This is a national trend, and the reason it's a national trend is because it's a national problem. We have an epidemic of child sexual abuse in this country, and it is up to legislative bodies like yours to be wise and to make decisions to protect children. We have the data. We didn't have the data years ago. We didn't have the data about age 52. We didn't have the data about adverse childhood experiences. We did not have the data relative to the science of traumatology. Guess what? Now we know. We know the problem. We know how vast it is. We know the response. We know that it takes victims years, decades, if ever, to report. So I would say to all of you with utmost respect, now we know. Now we know. And it's time for you to respond and to follow the national trend. I see I'm out of time. I'm happy to take questions after. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman and committee members. My name is Carolyn Surik in support of Bill HB 974. The issues before you are whether to eliminate the civil statute of limitations and whether to include a 2-year look-back window. I'm a Key School survivor. It's not important that you know exactly what happened to me, but the timeline is. I graduated from Key in 76. I was a drug addict in the 80s. I started therapy in 85. It was 1993 when I finally pulled myself together enough to go and talk to a board member. In 1996, I met with the head of the school. I asked him to shine a bright light on the school's terrible history. I asked him to fire the teacher who was still there, who had abused his students. And I asked him to